They asked me some questions about Gaza, or I should rather say they asked me like maybe a question and a half about Gaza, and then they realized that I wasn't the one. I don't know why they brought me on, but we're gonna check it out. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it much as I did. Make sure I like this video. Make sure you share this video. Yo, we got like 1,500 new subscribers this month. Shout out to you guys.
Rises. Well, we don't know that at all because it's a terrorist toll rises. Well, we don't know that at all because it's a terrorist group who keep giving out these numbers of people who die. And we happen to know that the terrorists base themselves in schools and hospitals. So is it really right for all this fuss to be made about it?
Well, there's actually been zero evidence to prove that they base themselves in schools and hospitals. In fact,
no, there hasn't. There's been a lot of evidence.
BBC tried to go into Gaza and
investigate this
claim by Israel.
My friend. A lot of evidence.
No, when BBC and CNN,
the BBC, don't make me laugh.
No. This is the same BBC that actually was preaching the same rhetoric that you were preaching.
You shouldn't go to the BBC.
When they did the investigation, Israel tried to stop them from doing the investigation, one, but two, when they were finally able to, they realized Israel was lying. And their information didn't match.
Just the BBC that reported 500 people were killed in a strike when there weren't, that didn't happen, and then they wouldn't apologise. That BBC, the one that's getting complaints about 2 or 3 times a week, having to apologise.
Yeah, you can make that, but you can make the argument about mainstream media. But the same BBC, they propagated Israeli propaganda, and no one criticized them for that.
I don't remember that.
So they had to this is mainstream media. This is what they do. They're gonna mess up.
So it's okay. It's okay with you, Niko House. It's all right for you.
First of all, it's hilarious that this man literally tried to say that he don't remember when BBC was propagating Israeli propaganda. That's wild. So just say you don't watch the news. It's just which is okay. If you don't watch BBC at all, I can understand that. But I mean, he also just tried to pretend. He's like, don't watch BBC, almost like he never watches it. But then when I tell him what happened on BBC, because I make sure to check out, you know how we are, independent media, we have to watch the propaganda to know what they're saying. So when I tell him, no, I actually watched it, he's like, no, I've never seen that. Well, yeah, you just said you don't watch it. So why are you arguing with me about it, bitch? Like,
to say that what Hamas, you agree they're a terrorist organization, do you?
No, I don't really buy into that framing.
So hang on. So you're a stupid idiot. You can get off my program now.
No, hold on.
Get rid of it.
What about the rights?
No, this man. No, stop
would you like me to respond? Would you like me to respond?
Not really, because I think.
So let me explain something.
I don't know. I don't think you can explain it.
The West,
you are trying to defend
problem where they like to frame everybody who is brown and fight against as a terrorist organization.
They kidnap babies and rape women.
In the United States, they actually labeled the Black Panthers a terrorist organization, but refused to actually label the KKK a terrorist organization. So I'm not going to go with the framing.
People like you are dangerous.
Believes a terrorist organization. Whenever even the United States agreed with the ICJ that they are illegally settling in Palestinian territory.
I am really worried about the United States, because unless you listen, why don't you shut up and listen to what I'm going to say?
Those people have the right to fight back and take their territory.
Breaky.
Yeah, man. So James and Russell Brand from Wish didn't like that. They thought they were going to try to, I guess, bombard me. Like, no, that's not going to work, bro. Like I said, for those of you who do not know, debating was basically my profession for years. Since I was a freshman in high school, I did debate 4 years in high school, 2 years in college. Like, you're not just going, I already know the tactics. I already know the tactics. So, first of all, I don't understand why his researchers let him conduct this interview using talking points from December 2023. Are you for real? First of all, using numbers from 2023, talking about the death tolls up to 39,000. Boy, you are way off. Try 100,000 at least. So there's that. But you're like, yeah, we know that they're embedded in schools and hospitals. No, that got debunked. It's been debunked. And the only tunnel that was built in the area that he's referring to was built by Israel. And remember, there was a whole, like, they went through and they tried to conduct an investigation and they wouldn't let them, but all they had to do was use the film from Israel itself. And it's like, hey, this doesn't really look like Hamas living here, like y'all said they were. There's no armory, there's nothing. This has already been debunked. But what I love the most is whenever he tries to, because what he wanted to do, in case y'all were curious, because I know some people he brought up his interview with Jimmy, and I actually haven't seen his interview with Jimmy yet. And I don't watch Jackson, or will I? Because Jackson's a dumbass, so I don't know why anybody would watch him at all. But when it comes to me specifically, I can't speak for everybody else, but when it comes to me, the reason that he tried, whenever I say whatever, he asked me about the terrorist organization, if they're a terrorist organization, of course I'm going to say no, because I know what that means. The reason that he tried to call me a stupid idiot, and then he got upset. Now he's like, "Oh, here comes the," because he was trying to get me to react. Because generally in these situations, Destiny tried it once upon a time. Vaush tried it. Ben Burgess tried it. When I'm engaging with somebody and they are ill prepared for the conversation, usually what happens is that they have to pull out the angry black man card. And by that, I mean, they immediately go to an insult that in most situations, and rightfully and justifiably so, a person would react emotionally, or hell, not even emotionally, just passionately. Because when somebody calls you a stupid idiot, you probably have the right to react. The thing is, I've been debating emotional white boys who think that they're smarter than I am for my entire adult life and before. So whenever they get upset, like whenever they start insulting me, that's when I know, yeah, this is over. I already know where this is headed. So all I have to do is be calmer and be calmer and be calmer and just bombard them with information. And then they get overwhelmed. And then you get the results that you just saw. Because when I said, no, I'm not going to call Hamas a terrorist organization, why? He's like, oh, so you're a stupid idiot. You notice he didn't even try to give a fact. He's like, you're dangerous. Okay, but why am I wrong? Oh, babies and nope, that's not, no, beheaded babies, but all that shit. You're going to quote more propaganda? No. Come on, Russell Brand from Wish. You got to do better. But now, when I start explaining to because it was evident that they actually just did no research. Oh, can we even trust these numbers from a terrorist organization? Those numbers, by the way, are not disputed by Israel. They're real numbers, because that 39,000 number is like whatever. That's old. But the real numbers are not even disputed by Israel. Israel tries to justify the numbers, but those numbers are not disputed. Okay? So there's that problem. But whenever I begin to explain to him that I will not accept Western framing of who is and who is not a terrorist organization, and I explain to him, because this is the same Western organization, or these are the same Westerners, rather, like in the United States, that labeled the Black Panthers a terrorist organization, but refused to label the KKK a terrorist organization. And whenever I said that, you could tell he's like, oh shit, I'm out of my depth. You could tell both of them were like, shit. And then when I'm like, and if you're going to try to use it, and then in that same breath, if you're going to try to claim, well, I'm going to accept Western framing, then I'm like, okay, well, then the US agreed with the recent ICJ ruling. They're not going to do anything about it, but they actually agreed. They said that they accept the ruling that the settlements are illegal. In which case, the implication is Palestinians have a legal right to defend their occupied land and take their land back. That would make you a militia at bare minimum, or an army, if you want to be specific. How is that a terrorist organization? A terror organization to me is somebody who goes around stealing land that doesn't belong to you, bombing refugee camps and calling it a military operation, sniping women and children and old men walking down the street. That seems to me to be like a terrorist organization, don't you think? Basically, the West decides who is and who is not a terrorist organization, what is and what is not a terrorist organization on a few factors. One, your uniform. Two, whose side do you fight on? And three, your skin tone. Because hell, at the bare minimum, at least they give respect, enough respect to Russia to call their military an army, but they don't give that respect to Iran, who has one of the largest, most efficient, most well-coordinated militaries in the world. They don't even give that respect. They just like, that's a big ass terrorist organization. Why? Why a terrorist organization? But hell, even Russia gets the respect of being an army, which they are. I'm not like, obviously, I know I'm not saying that Russia's not, but you get what I'm saying? Sentient Dreamer, thank you very much for the super chat. They were telling on themselves with when they use intelligence insults. We only use insults that work on us. That's how we choose them. They are afraid of smart. Oh, that's an interesting frame of logic. We only use insults that will work. I'm assuming you mean like we only, as people, use insults that would work on us. Which is funny because I don't feel like I would do that. I only use insults that are very specific to the person, because otherwise I wouldn't be insulting you. I don't insult random people like for random reasons. I have to hear your argument out. So once I figure out what would bother you the most, you specifically, that's the insult I would use. But yeah, in that situation, why would I call somebody an idiot? Like, maybe we disagree and you're smart. So that insult doesn't really work. Now, it didn't work in that situation. It's not going to work if I'm not an idiot. But like, for example, there are people who I've engaged with on like social media, Twitter, where I'm like, you're like, why are you acting liberal? Like why are you acting like a Democrat, for example? Some people, like, you can trigger them like that because they want to be anything but a hyper leftist, neoliberal Democrat. And I'm like, so why are you acting like a Democrat? I'm confused. Why are you and Joe Biden on the same side of the argument? Please explain that to me. And they freak out because they're like, what? How could you dare say something like that? No, well, I didn't know that it was an insult. I'm just trying to ask a question. Why are you on the same side as Joe Biden if you supposedly hate Joe Biden and everything that he does? Like with Venezuela, for example.